Hi, I'm Amanda Skelton, an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. Today I'd like to show you how to make this card. I think I'd call it like a half and half opening card. So it's quite a simple design, but it's quite quick to make, which is really good if you need to make a lot of cards at the same time. So this design, I'm going to use the Power of Hope bundle. So this is the stamp set and an embossing folder, and those are both free with the Stampin' Up! Sale-a-bration event. So if you place an order of £90 or more, then you can get this set absolutely free, and that's before the end of March 2020. So let's have a look. I'm going to do it a slightly bit different to this design because I've only used one piece of card this side, and because I'm using the Stampin' Blends, it does tend to go through. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add an extra layer on here. I'm going to stamp my design on that extra layer, and we're going to emboss it. So we'll use the embossing folder, which I haven't used on this design, and then we'll add that on top, and then you won't be able to see the ink going through. Okay, and then I've just put a sentiment inside. Okay, so what do we need to make this card? We need some cardstock. I'm using Whisper White cardstock, and that needs to measure 4 1/8 inch by 11 5/8 of an inch. And then I've scored it along the long side, and I've scored it at 2 7/8 and at 8 6/8. And then you need a piece of coloured cardstock that measures 2 5/8 by 3 7/8. And then you need a piece of white cardstock, and that's going to be the section I said about we're going to add. That's going to be 2 5/8 by 3 7/8, so the same size as your coloured cardstock. And then I've just got a piece here. I've just used normal printing paper, and that's going to be my insert. So I'm just going to put that as my insert there, and that measures 5 5/8 by 3 7/8. Okay, so just as a general tip, because we're going to stamp and emboss this one piece of card, always do your stamping first, because you cannot stamp very well on an uneven surface. So if you've already embossed it, you're not going to have a flat surface to stamp on. So we'll do the stamping first. Oh, excuse me. So what I'd also like to show you on this is the masking technique. So here we've got the lady, and we've also got the tree from that Power of Hope stamp set, but you cannot see the tree overlaying the lady. So one technique is masking, and I'll show you how to use that as well. So we want some black ink, and we want our lady. So I'm just going to ink her up. It's not inked up very well. That's better. So you want to do it quite close to the bottom of the card so that you've got enough space to do your lanterns at the top. So I'm just going to stamp her on there, and that gives you a really nice silhouette. And now we're going to do the masking technique. So how do you do this? So you want to get a piece of scrap paper, and what you want to do is the shape or the stamp that you want to mask out when you stamp over it. You want to just stamp it onto some, again, I'd say sort of printer paper, something that's quite thin, so that you don't then end up with a big bulky layer to stamp on top of again. And then what I've done here, is I've created one here, so I've just cut out the area that I know that I'm going to be stamping over. This is quite a simple shape, so I've just fussy cut this. If it is a fussy shape, you might want to use a die, if you've got a coordinating die, if it's quite a complex shape, and that will give you your mask. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to place our mask over our lady, and then I'm going to stamp in Old Olive. As you can see, I've used this several times, so I'm just going to make sure that's placed there. I'm going to put the tree around the base of the lady, and then you can see that the green hasn't gone over the lady, so it looks like she actually is stood in front of it. It's quite a popular technique and one that is very effective. Okay, so that is your masking technique. And then we're going to do some lanterns. So we want the black. And I'm going to do them, I think, similar to how I did them before. So I'm going to do one in the middle. And then I'm going to do one either side so that I can do a... Oh, I've got pen all over me. So that we can do a string going across it. Hopefully that'll be okay. Okay, so we now want to colour this in. So because my colour cardstock is rich raspberry, I'm going to use my Stampin Blends, which are the light and dark tones. You can buy them individually or you can buy them together, and you get a light and a dark tone of it. So I'm going to use the light tone first, and I would suggest when you're using your blends, if you do want to use the two different tones on the same design or the same area, what I'd suggest you do is do the light colour first and do the light colour everywhere, and then you can add on top of that your darker shade, and then you can use your lighter shade then to blend in. And because these are alcohol markers, even though when you first colour them in it maybe looks like you've got pen marks, once it's dried it's really even. So I'm just going to add, and you've also got two ends on this. You've got a traditional marker end, and then the end that I tend to use mostly is like the paintbrush end. But because I've got a small area here, I'm going to use the finer tip to do the sections there. Right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a shadow. So I'm going to use the dark colour again. I'm going to add some dark shading to the right hand side, and I'm going to add a little bit on the umbrella as well, the parasol. So if you can see that, it looks quite crude there, but even that would be okay actually. But then if you use your light shade again, it basically will blend. And again, when you first do it, it looks quite liney, but once you've actually let it dry, it does blend in quite nicely. So hopefully you can see there that we've got some shading, sort of shadow down the right hand side. Okay, I'm going to add dark mango melody for my lanterns. Make these look sort of goldy coloured. Which I think goes quite nice with the rich raspberry. Sort of looks a bit then like the lanterns are lit up. And then the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add the chain that they're going to go from. Now I'm using a retired set here. This is Santa's suit, but the reason I'm using it is because it has this line on it, and you might find that you've got a stamp set somewhere that has a similar sort of element to it. It might not be as long as this or as wide, but if you have got something like this, it's pliable, so you can change the angle of it. So I'm going to just place it like that, and I'm just going to see if it looks, actually that probably looks about right. So I'm going to ink that up with black. You won't need all of it. Again, make sure you've got something underneath it so that if you do stamp further than the card, then you are not damaging anything. So I think I'm going to do that about there. And there you can see you've got your chain to hang your lanterns on. Okay, so now we've done everything that we want to do on here, we can emboss it. So I get my big shot ready. So we're going to be using the embossing folder that comes with the Power of Hope bundle, and this is the new style 3D embossing folder, and because of that you'll need to adjust your plates. Now ordinarily with the 3D embossing folders you would take out your two thin sheets, leave your big thick base and one top layer. What we're going to also do is add a piece of card. This card you often have as the bottom sheet of your designer series paper packs, so something like that would be ideal, or anything, any cardboard that you may have from a cereal box or something like that. So we're going to place our lady in, stamping up on the front, so that's the front of the design. So you want to put your card in that way up. Some patterns have a deboss and an emboss, and sometimes the deboss looks as nice. On this one I'll probably keep it this way up. So I've cut this piece of card to the same width as my big shot, and then I'm just going to run it through. And then I have this beautiful, it looks like a bit like crazy paving, so you can see the debossed, actually that's quite nice as well, but the embossed is what I'm going to use. Okay, so I've got that section now. Now we want to do the other side of the card. So I'm going to do the Chinese like pagoda, and I'm going to do a sentiment as well. So I'm going to stamp this in black. And I'm going to stamp that at the bottom. That comes out quite nicely. And then I'm going to stamp a sentiment, which I haven't got ready. So I'm going to put, today is a day for new, actually no, I'm going to do good luck I think on this one. So I've got my stamp here. I forgot to prepare this one. So I've got my good luck stamp from the same set. That's a really nice fine font on that actually, which is quite nice. Okay, so we've got all the elements we need. So now we can make up our card. So you've got your score lines. I've already done these at the distances I said. So you want to fold away from the valley of your score lines. And then you're going to have those as your bases. And then I'm going to glue on my panels. So I'm going to do this one on the right hand side. This one onto the left hand side, so you can see there it has come out, but it will hide it by the time we've added that to our card base. Okay, so if you wanted to you could put another layer of colour behind this panel, but I thought I'd just keep this quite simple on this one. So that's our front, and then the only thing to do then is to stamp our sentiment. So again, I'm not prepared, So I'm going to use Hope is the Power That Makes All Things Possible, which I think will be quite nice in a good luck card. So remember that your card is that orientation, so you need to make sure that you stamp your sentiment in the right way. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to clean this one off first. Just use my stamping scrub, because I'm going to use a different colour. So I'm going to use the Rich Razzleberry, which is the same colour as the card, and I'm going to ink that one up, and I'm just going to put that down in the right hand side. Okay, so what I suggest you do for this in terms of putting your insert in is just putting a piece of tape along the very top edge that's going to be stuck in, and then it will just hang quite nicely in your card. If I can work out where the centre is. Okay, so there you have the Power of Hope. It's quite nice to have that. Got a bit of glue in it, look. So that's quite nice to have that just as a loose leaf. You don't need to have it on both sides of the panel. And there you have your gorgeous good luck card. Hope you've enjoyed watching this. Don't forget, this is part of the Sale-a-bration event that's going on at the moment. You can look at and buy the products on my Stampin' Up website, which is amandascraftedcards.stampinup.net. And I've obviously be very happy to take any questions, or if you need any advice, then please do leave me comments, and make sure that you subscribe to and follow me on my YouTube video, and then you'll always make sure that you'll get your notifications when I upload my next projects. Thank you very much. Bye bye.